Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to episode 49 of the Rainbow Bridge. Today is a super fun show. I'm Rena Dwelly, and I have my dear friend Brandy Burrow here. She is an Eclectic Intuitive. Brandy assists clients with healing, gaining insight, and finding their true, authentic self with various tools such as mediumship, tarot, astrology, palmistry, Reiki, and healing crystals. She does it all. She's so amazing, you guys. I am so happy to have Brandy on this show tonight because I think you guys are going to love her. I should probably also let you know that it is truly, really, probably because of Brandy that my business is a success. Brandy is a huge part of my business team, and I don't make any business decisions without her guidance and insight. So welcome, Brandy. You guys, if you have any questions for Brandy, definitely pop them in the messages and I'll pop them up. We'll answer them as time goes on and as time allows. So we're going to get started. Brandy loves astrology.
Astrology night. I can't wait to talk. I love it. One of my favorite subjects of all time.
That's so awesome. And you're so good with it. I mean, I know some bits and pieces. I know enough that I can do a reading for somebody, but I think Brandy really lives and breathes astrology. So it's really fun to connect with her and talk to her about it. So Brandy, tell us, how did you get started in astrology?
Right. Well, it's like everything else. One thing leads to another. I started my journey with crystals and Reiki, then tarot, then mediumship. I'm a true Gemini. I get bored. I always love to learn. So the next thing was astrology. But really what brought me into it, I was going in one of my Saturn oppositions. So Saturn was in Sagittarius a few years ago, which was opposing all my Gemini planets. And so I didn't know that, but I could feel that energy. I could feel the challenges. I could feel the obstacles. I'm like, why do I feel like energy is working against me? That's how it felt. It's not what was happening, but I felt that opposition. And so I was like, someone told me, well, Saturn is in Sagittarius. And so I was on this journey to find out what that meant, which led me to astrology. And so, yeah, when you have Saturn opposing your planets, you feel it. Saturn limits, it disciplines, it puts you in your place. It's saying you don't need to be here anymore. You need to be here, or you're expanding out way too far. You're off your path. Let's get you back on there. So that was the start. Saturn opposition.
And Saturn is really a planet about you being in your truth and your honesty. And it's going to lead you really hard down that very narrow path.
Yes. And if you're not, it will spank you. It will. It'll put you time out. So it's disciplinarian.
Yeah. I love planets and I love learning about what they do in our charts. It's really incredible. And I feel like I learn something every day from it. I don't know about you, Brandy, but
every day I set out to learn something new about astrology. And when I die, there'll still be stuff I don't know because there's so much to it. But let me, I'm talking so mean about Saturn. Saturn really is our friend. It's a good, it doesn't feel good, but he's our friend. He's trying to get us in the right place. So let me just give Saturn that shout out.
So Brandy, how do you use astrology? How does this help you?
I use it every single day in so many ways. So more than anything, I study my birth chart, which I recommend everyone do. You don't have to know about astrology. There's so many sites now. You can just plug in your information. You just need the day you were born, the city you were born. If you have the exact time, that's so helpful. And you can pull up a chart, and a lot of these sites will kind of step you through it and kind of tell you about it. I recommend going to an astrologer if you really want that detailed information about how it affects you individually. But you can get a general idea through these websites. And so the birth chart will really help you understand why you communicate the way you do, why you have the characteristics and the behavior you do, all sorts of things, why you have those quirkiness about yourself. It'll explain everything. And so it's good to know that. It's good. It helps you forgive yourself a little bit for who you are. It just explains a little bit of it. And then daily, daily. It's good to know how these transits are hitting you, or what sign the moon is in. When the moon is void of course. That's a big thing. You don't have to know a lot about it, but when the moon is void of course, you want to be careful making plans because it'll void out your plans.
Absolutely. So, Brandy, do you want to tell people who maybe not know a whole lot about astrology? You talked about oppositions and transits, kind of what that means, like in maybe easy to understand terms?
Yeah, so let's take your sun sign. Everyone knows their sun sign. It's like, okay, I'll use me as an example. I'm born May 26th. I'm a Gemini. That's your sun sign when everyone figures that out by their birthday. An opposition is when a planet is directly opposite of that in the sky. So my sun is in Gemini. When Saturn was transiting Sagittarius, it was completely opposite. And that aspect, as we call it, an aspect, it's pulling on that energy. It's kind of shaping that energy with it. So aspects are just where the planets are in the sky. We have the aspects in our birth chart, where the planets were and how they're lining up. And then we have transiting aspects, which is where the planets are in the sky right now compared to where it was when you were born. Some aspects are easier than others. We have some that are really beneficial. We have some that feel challenging, or some that can irritate us.
You know why I love astrology, Brandy? It helps me understand my husband a little bit better, because I'm always like, this man's driving me crazy. What's going on?
Absolutely. In any relationship, you should know where your Mercury is at, and you should know where your partner's Mercury is at. Me and my husband have opposite Mercuries. Mine is in Gemini, his is in Sagittarius. And so when we're fighting, it's really stupid, because it's really like we're not really disagreeing. We just have completely different communication styles. And so after learning that, you kind of know how to go in and meet in the middle with that communication.
Absolutely. It is so beneficial. Yep. I remember one time, I don't know if Kelly remembers this, but Mark was, maybe rubbing me a little weird one day. And I was like, man, things are really crazy here. And she's like, she had me look something up in his birth chart. And then when I understood where that placement was, it made so much sense. He has a Cancer moon. So I have a lot of Capricorn. In my astrological chart, I don't have time for feelings like that. And I'll just say what
I'm in the world for feelings, right?
Exactly. Yep. And I'm Taurus, so I think I'm the queen. So yeah, it's very interesting.
So his having the Cancer moon. The moon is our emotional response.
Right.
Cancer is very emotional energy. Capricorn, a little cooler, a little laid back, like let's just get the job done.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know so much about laid back. It feels like it is definitely my drive. I will tell you that.
Laid back emotionally. Yeah. Laid back emotionally.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
So, Brandy, how do you work with clients when somebody comes to you and says, oh, I don't know, what do people say when they're asking for astrological charts? I just come to you for readings and what you think about what's going to happen versus this situation.
Yes. Most of the time, my clients are not astrologers, and they're like, what the hell is happening right now? I've had this, and this happen. I feel like I don't like my job anymore. I feel like I just need to make a change. I feel like I need to escape. They're kind of where I was at a few years ago. It's like, I'm feeling something, but I cannot put my finger on it. Or it's like, I have trouble in relationships. Why can I never, bond with people? Or why can I not put the maintenance into it? And that's when you pull up the chart, pull up the natal chart. Okay, well, let's see where Venus is at. Venus is all about relationships. Let's see how it's aspected. You have a Venus square to Saturn, you're going to have a little difficulty there.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're limited by it. You can definitely get past it, but it takes awareness of it and working on it.
Exactly. And that's really the beautiful piece of astrology is, again, it helps you understand who you are, why you're this person, and how you can work with this to overcome your limitations that you feel you have. It's pretty amazing. I know she's helped me quite a bit. And Brandy mixes all together with her mediumship and tarot. So it's beautiful. I myself am a reader. Sometimes I can't see my own shit, you know how it is. Sometimes you just need somebody to help you out. So I go to Brandy and she's my Saturn.
I go to Rena, who just fixes everything with these cool tools. And everything is all well again. Story. It's a whole hour for at least the first week with this thing to discuss. But this has been amazing.
Oh yeah, the keys are wonderful. They really, really are, for sure.
My best friend.
For sure. So I don't know, Brandy. We should probably tell people about these. This is my own special astrological potion that Brandy made me. It is it's like heaven in a bottle. And I feel like a queen when I wear this. So
because I made it for you to feel like a queen. So the whole idea is I can look at your astrological chart, your natal chart, where everything was at when you were born. And I have oils that are linked to each planet and some herbs as well. And so let's use Saturn again, poor guy. Let's say you have Saturn in your chart that just is connected not in a great aspect to a lot of planets. It's working against you. Well, I'm going to put some oils in that thing to bring the beneficial placements out, that good energy that is working for you, and oils in there to tame the Saturn energy. So if you're emotionally explosive, I got stuff in there to kind of chill you out a little bit. Bring up the harmony as an example.
It's really amazing stuff. And before we end the show, I'll be sure and share Brandy's website so you can make sure and check that stuff out, because it's really cool. It just kind of gives you that extra boost. Maybe you're going in for a job interview and you need a little extra confidence. Something like that would be perfect for you to wear and work with, because it's tailor-made just for you. And Brandy, I don't know if I've ever told you this piece. So with the inner diamond work that I do, kings and queens had crowns that were made specifically for them. We have crystals in our head. Okay, you know that as a Reiki practitioner. So these people would have these crowns made with specific gemstones to activate their best leadership qualities. So I feel like that's what your astrological blends do. It just really hones in and helps you vibrate at that perfect level. It's incredible stuff.
Thank you. Well, that's the whole point. I wanted to bring out the good stuff, help you with the difficult stuff, get you through your day with a little bit more power and energy. And if you don't know your birth chart, I also make just regular sun sign oils.
Perfect.
Brings out the good traits of each sign.
That's awesome. Really awesome. Very, very cool.
Fun.
So what's your favorite piece of the astrological field? You have one specific section you love to play with?
Criminal astrology.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if that's the one you were going to pick. I know you've told me a little bit about it, and I think you should tell everyone else about it because it's really neat.
I love it. So I have Neptune in the 8th house. Okay, guys, 8th house, it rules a lot of things. One of it's death. Neptune is the spirituality, the abilities, psychic abilities. It represents that. So that kind of blends together for me, gives me a little bit of morbid curiosity. I love the unknown, mystery, criminal astrology. Let's take an example. If there's a murder and you have a specific timestamp for when it happened, you can pull a chart with that. The chart will tell you the whole story. It'll tell you information about the victim. It'll tell you information about the perpetrator. And the most amazing thing, it's excellent for unsolved crimes. It helps bring closure. It helps bring in a little bit more of the story that's missing.
Wow. You know, my favorite show as a kid was Unsolved Mysteries. So I feel like I'm getting my Friday special right now. You got to tell us a story about something you've looked up. What have you learned?
So I've looked up a lot of things. I'm a huge Beatles fan. We all really know the story of John Lennon, but this is a great place to study since the story is there. You can study the chart and see it. John Lennon's murder, unfortunately, it shows the perpetrator being right there by him. It shows John Lennon being right by his car. It shows the perpetrator being in front of the home. It shows some delusionment with Neptune. That's a good example. I will pull charts for things that are happening locally to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, anyone who needs help, like, hey, what happened? My boss comes to me a lot. I had this really weird thing happen yesterday. Pull a chart. Let me know what the situation was. So it can kind of go beyond criminal. It's kind of the same idea. But astrology will always tell you the story of what's going on.
Isn't that something? That's just crazy. It is really crazy.
Yeah. So I recently looked up the chart for the the reporter that was killed in Turkey by the Saudi Arabians. Kind of see what was going on there. It was a really sad story, but it does look like there was multiple people involved. Maybe some drugs, drowning.
Oh, wow.
It just shows you how it played out. A little dark, but you know, it's a good tool for closure for people.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And especially as a medium, that's just another area for you to play, right? Not so much play. Maybe play is not the right word. Another area for you to explore.
Another tool to use.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is really interesting. Who else have you looked up?
I've looked up lots of people. So so I'm going to go see the movie this weekend, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I did look at some of the Manson murders. Terrible crime. Those people were horrible.
Right.
But, you know, I like up to see the story, what's going on. Another thing, in these crime charts, you will see just a lot of similarities, like planets being 29 degrees or houses hitting at a 29-degree mark. And that's a big indicator. That 29 degrees is called the aneretic degree, and it's like something needs to happen. So all of a sudden, people will start reacting when planets hit that or houses go into that.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
That's crazy. Wow. So what is it about the 29?
It's just it's the last degree of a sign. Because technically there's 30 degrees, but after 29, you go into 0 of the next sign.
So it's like finishing up.
It's completion. It's like we're getting ready to hit this new energy. If you're going to act, you need to act now. That's really how people feel that energy.
Carla says, what was your favorite case you looked up?
Ooh, my favorite case. I have so many. I looked up River Phoenix when he died.
Interesting.
And he had, not only did I look at the criminal part, but I looked at his transits, what was hitting his birth chart that day. And he had a lot of weaknesses with health, with energy. If there was any day to not take any risks with your health, it was that day for him.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder, it makes you wonder if these people knew what was in their chart, if they would have made different choices. Like, maybe I shouldn't go out today, or, you know, maybe I need to watch what I ingest in my body today. You know, it's, wow.
Yeah. And it's a lot to keep up with, but I generally try to do that with the transits daily. For instance, Uranus was on my ascendant for a while, so I was very careful because that's an accident-prone energy. You know, fell a couple times in the house, bruised myself up. So I tried to be a little extra cautious, put a little extra Reiki around the car, those kind of things.
So that's another good question. Do you ever feel like you're too cautious with the astrological piece of this?
Absolutely.
Do you find yourself going crazy a little bit?
Yes, I want to do something, but the moon's void, of course. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to stay in my house today and do nothing, which, you know, you still have to live life. But yes, I can be a little overly cautious. I will totally admit that.
What does your family think?
You know, they're so supportive. They just listen. I'm like, okay. My son is hilarious. He kind of blows it off, but then when he's having a really bad day, he'll be like, Mom, is the moon in Aquarius or something? Because I feel like I'm in opposition. So they are listening. My daughter loves it. My daughter, super awesome soul. She has 5 planets in Scorpio, very strong-willed, super smart. She loves it. She really
passionate. She is a passionate girl.
Passionate, absolutely. She loves Star Wars. And she came to me with all the characters telling me what sign they probably had, sun sign. Kylo Ren was Scorpio, all these kind of things. Yoda, Capricorn, but she thinks there might be something else going on with the moon. So she's awesome with it. She's in
that. Is so cool. That is so, so cool. I love it.
Pretty cool. It's never a dull moment around here.
Sometimes I wonder what my family thinks. I don't know. I think they're soft with me, even though I'm just kind of like an open book. Like this is weird stuff, and we're going to talk about it at the dinner table.
Right.
I work a lot in the quantum physics field, right? With the work that I do. And Max, my son, is a huge Tesla fan. Of course he is, right? I feel like I birthed just this incredible genius. And there's some things that even go beyond him, and I mean, likewise for me too, but I just wonder if he sits there and thinks, God, my mom's really crazy.
I know it happens to me, but they love us, and that's all that matters.
My mom says, we love you, Rena Dwelly.
They do. They're loved.
They've had to. This is me. I don't change. I don't mold. I'm very fixed. And we're going to lay it all out on the table.
It's all about acceptance.
That's right.
We're wonderful. Of course, we're loved.
Does anybody else have any questions for Brandy? Come on, this is good stuff.
Really good.
Brandy, how about you?
So, today the moon is in Taurus. And one thing I found interesting, this is a cool way to play with astrology too, is to just go about your day and see what you start doing. And then you'll realize if you look up the moon sign, how it's influenced you. So at work for the past 2 days, I've been doing the banking stuff at work, settling statements, doing all the money stuff, sales tax, And then I look over at my calendar. I'm like, oh, the moon's in Taurus, all about the money.
That's crazy. That's interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. Taurus is a great manifestor. They like money. They like fine things. So that's
luxuries in life.
Yep, that's right.
A really cool thing. I talked about Mercury in relationships. This is just popping into my mind. It's really cool to know about the Mars in your chart, because Mars is anger, it's assertiveness. If you find you can't say no to people, or you get angry really easily, see where Mars is at.
Yeah, makes sense.
I hate working out. My husband tries to drag my ass to the gym, and I'm like, I hate it. I have Mars and Taurus. Of course I don't want to work out. I want to sit on the couch, binge watch TV, and eat, No, we're not limited by it. That's just our tendency. It's our natural energy.
That's interesting. Yeah, for sure, right? Kelly says, what's one of the biggest challenge indicators to look at in a natal chart?
Again, I'm going to bring Saturn in. After Saturn, you get into the outer planets, which can affect you, like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They can affect you the way they're aspected, but really they're called generational planets. So they're kind of like everybody born in the 70s has the same Pluto, all that kind of stuff. Saturn's pretty heavy in a chart. Saturn can tell you where you have problems with authority, where you have problems with your parents, relationships. You can look what house it's in to see what area of your life you struggle with the most. Huge.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's huge. It's got a lot of weight in the chart.
So is there any, how true is it for these astrological signs to meet up? Like, I'm a Taurus, sun sign Taurus. Mark is an Aquarius. How true do you find those to be in charts? Like, who's compatible?
Yeah. So don't limit with the sun sign. Just going by those two energies, they're hard. They're square to each other, right? But you guys might have other things in your chart that complement each other or fill each other in. Opposite moons. Even though it's opposite and it can create some, maybe I wouldn't say friction, but some need for adjustment, it also fills each other in. You get some emotion from him, he gets some of that emotion chilled out by you, right? So, and me, I'm a Gemini. My husband's a Scorpio. That's not supposed to work. I've been married 20 years because we have other things that line up really well that make us compatible. So, yeah, you're not too limited by the sun. There can be some character differences. Like I say, a need for adjustment, but it's not a deal breaker by any means.
Right. And then in that, we have to remember that people come into our lives for us to help guide us on our paths to further ourselves, to learn, to grow. So, yeah, that was a good question I had come in today, and I thought I better address that because it's interesting. Again,
by Scorpio, like Scorpio is a tough energy for Gemini. Around
tough for anybody, I think.
So there's something in my life, in this lifetime, I'm working through that Scorpios present to me. So it's doing a lot of work, I think.
Definitely. Carla says, John Benet Ramsey. Have you ever done that chart?
Yes. So there was a documentary on TV, I don't know, a couple years ago, that brought up really good evidence that maybe the sibling was involved. I did the astrology, and I will say it supported the documentary.
Interesting. Very interesting. Danae says, today and last night, I purged emotionally like crazy, crying. My bestie did too. What in the world is going on in the planets that would cause that shift?
There is a lot. So we have 5 planets in retrograde. We have 3, which, oh God, Mercury is like, it's an inner planet. We feel that one. Thank goodness it's just for 3 weeks, with a little bit of shadow period on each side. We have Saturn. We have Neptune. We have Pluto. Oh, Jupiter. Jupiter is our friend. Gives us that really good energy, and it's restricted with the retrograde. So we're feeling all that. And then we just went through an eclipse season. We had a solar eclipse July 2nd. We had the lunar eclipse July 16th. And even though we're past those events, that energy lasts for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And then it could also be depending what sign you are, where the moon is at. That moon is our emotions. It could be tugging on them, having you release.
Definitely.
Moon's in Taurus. If you're Scorpio, or if you have some inner planets in Scorpio, you're going to feel it.
Definitely. Jennifer says,
Jennifer met up today. She's in the Houston area and was in Austin. We had a blast. We went out to eat, end up reading for the waiters, and you know how you
I love when that happens. It blows people away. Brandy, did I ever tell you this story? This is interesting. So I was in a little gift shop one day, and I was admiring these paintings. And the lady working in the gift shop came up to me and said, the woman who painted these is the woman who created LinkedIn, and her best friend passed away. And she channels her best friend to paint these pictures. She's like, she starts with this blank canvas, and her friend tells her what to paint, what colors to use. She infuses essential oils in there. I mean, I was just like standing there, mind blown, right? And this lady's like, you probably think I'm crazy. And I said, no, I'm a medium. I think this is the most wonderful thing. And she goes, oh my God, I've never told anybody that story. Why would I tell you?
Oh, wow. That is really cool. Yeah, those synchronicities, right? And it's like, that's like everyday life for us. Like, we totally get that.
Right.
I love it.
So beautiful. So yeah, I think that's incredible when you can be out in public and sharing these special little messages, because I'm sure you made these people's days, right?
I hope so. You know, and the coolest thing, I'll try to make it short. I'm Gemini. I can take a little story and make it like an hour. But, you know, I'm at a psychic fair about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And this crystal table next to me has these pendulums. And there's a sodalite one that I'm like so drawn to. I need it. And I'm like, I don't know why, because I've looked at sodalite pendulums before and they usually don't work well for me. But I really wanted it. Well, by the time I got done with readings, they were packing up and gone. So I missed it. And I was like, ah. Well, then on the 14th, I was in Killeen, Texas at a fair. That same table, same vendor was right next to me with the pendulums. And that sodalite one was there. And I was like, I have to have it. So I went real quick and bought it. Well, ever since then, I haven't used it. It's just been sitting on the desk. And I'm like, I don't know why. I just have to have it. Today, before me and Jennifer go out, I grab my tarot cards because they go everywhere with me. And that pendulum is right there on the table. And I was like, I'm going to stick this in my tarot bag because I feel like I might need it later. Didn't think too much of it, brought it. Well, anyway, fast forward. We're at this restaurant. This waiter we have, he sees our cards and he's like totally intrigued by it, but kind of shy. And anyway, I have my cards sitting there in the pouch and he goes, oh, are those your cards? I'm like, yeah, they are. And he's like, can I see them? I'm like, cool. So I take the cards out. Well, that pendulum was in there and it comes to the side and I'm like telling him about my cards and he's looking at that pendulum and he's like, that's really cool. And I could tell he's drawn to it. So I'm like, hey, why don't you hold it for a minute? See how you do with it. Well, the thing starts swinging. It's his pendulum. And I said, and he's trying to hand it back to me. He goes, this is really awesome. I love this. And I was like, you know what? That's your pendulum. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, it is because I bought it. I've never used it. I've never taken it out of the house until today. And then he tells me I had one that looked just like this. It was blue. And he's like, it got stolen out of my car. And so the whole reason I was supposed to buy that damn pendulum was for him. And he got a little reading from us as well. And so, and he wasn't supposed to work today. He got called in last minute. I eat that up.
That's amazing. That's really incredible.
Best $19 I've ever spent by far.
Oh my God. Absolutely. Yes. I love that for sure. That is so beautiful. Hey, you guys, if you want to connect with Brandy, hop over to www.brandyburrowpsychicmedium.com. I am unable to pop this up for you, which, it's Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to leave that right there on the table because,
hiding it.
We know what this does to technology. It was popped up earlier. I will go back after the show, put it in the comments for you guys too. So make sure that you look for that.
Yeah, or find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well. I'd love to connect with everyone.
Facebook. Get together with Brandy. Get an incredible reading. You'll thank me later. I promise.
Read for each other. We make a good team, don't we?
We do. We do. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Brandy, you are incredible. I love you so dearly. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to tune in next week for an awesome show. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but it's always spirit guided, so they'll let me know. And may your day, your week, and your weekend be filled with love, light, and magic.